I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, and I'm located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Monroe, Washington. And welcome to Wheel Talk. I just wanted to let you guys know that this episode is a little bit different. Me and Ryan did a live video on Instagram, and we recorded it. So there is some visual, but we actually don't talk about the visual stuff until later in the episode, and there's a little music break because Instagram cut out mid-sentence for me. So just be aware of that. And also there's a few glitches with the audio just because we lost connection a little bit, but you can still understand what's going on. We appreciate you guys listening, and I hope that you guys enjoy this podcast. It was a lot of fun for us to do the live. Okay, so
on tonight's episode
we're talking about the show that you just did.
And that you just did.
And that I just did. And so me and Ryan both had really good shows this weekend. Ryan had an exceptional show.
Yes.
So let's tell us about that. I just had a good show. I didn't have like an exceptional show.
Okay, so this is my first time at this show. It was called the Woodland Art Fair in Lexington, Kentucky. And I sold the most I've ever sold at any show ever. I've been selling for like 4 years now. It's a 2-day show. And I sold a little over, or right around $3,000 before any fees or taxes or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it was a really good show.
How much was the show?
Oh man, I didn't do my research on this beforehand. I would say, I would say it was probably between $200 and $300 to do.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So that kind of gives you yeah, so it was really good. My best show before earlier this year was about, I think it was $1,700, and that was at the Spring Pottery Fair for the Clay Alliance, and that was actually the show that I helped run as a chair because it's hosted by the clay group that I'm a part of, the Clay Alliance in Cincinnati, and it's volunteer run and all that good stuff. So I was kind of the head of planning that. So I felt like I had some skin in the game and how that one became successful.
I would say I don't know for sure. What's your normal? Your normal's like 1,200, 1,300?
I don't know. Like, I would say if it's most of the typical like 1-day shows that I do are like a $50 booth fee or $75 booth fee, and I usually sell like a good one for me is about average is probably like 500 or so, maybe 600. And those are the cheaper booth fees, so it's a little less expense and a little more informal. It's not juried usually. It's kind of like you apply, you give them your social media handles and your website and all that kind of stuff, and you get in or don't. It's not like a juried process through Zapplication and all that good stuff. But
usually they're like,
this one was juried.
Please apply.
Right. And this one was juried. It went through the whole process, where they choose the applicants, or the applications start like 9 months before, or they start in January for the show in August, So it was kind of one of those deals. And I've attended the show a couple times, which I would recommend anyone to do. Before you jump into a show that you're going to pay a couple $100 to get into, you should definitely attend the show.
Yeah, don't do what Becca does.
You can do it, but you may be out some money. You may not get a feel for like the clientele. I mean, and if you can attend the show, maybe talk with some people that are in your medium that have done the show.
Yeah, don't be like Becca.
Look at the vendor list of that show and see who else is in that medium and make some new contacts. Don't be afraid to like talk to them and ask them how the show went and say you're up and coming. People are usually pretty helpful with people that are coming into the game and trying to start selling and stuff. They don't usually see it's like a turf war. Like, hey, there's only so many customers. You're taking my customers if you come out here. But
To be clear, also, I've never in my whole entire life made $3,000 at a show either. So everybody that's like, "Oh my God," that's a normal reaction, I feel.
yes, I was very ecstatic. And
And he came out with some new products that sold super extra well, like a slam dunk.
yes,
So
I can talk about those.
yeah, let's talk. Let's hear it.
Okay. So first, one thing that I do, not to jinx myself, I don't look at my sales throughout the day. So I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if you do that, Becca. I
Oh,
mean,
I
you don't have
totally
a.
do.
So I do not do that just because I don't want it to affect my mood throughout the day. I want to kind of run pretty unbiased and not let anything affect me. Kind of run the same attitude and the same kind of game plan every time, because I think it's effective, and I check out the sales at the end of the day. So my wife,
So
Rachel, she always checks them throughout the day just to check. She doesn't tell me, but she kind of gets it in her mind, kind of where I'm at.
yeah, and I check my sales throughout the day because I'm in a bad mood at the beginning of the day, regardless. So it's only up from there. It can only go up from there. So, but I just really enjoy the numbers part, so that's it makes me happy.
I
So,
enjoy analyzing after the fact and looking at the numbers.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay,
so
new
my
products.
newest products, it's probably mostly like one new product, but I mean, I got a new glaze too. So, the newest product was a collaborative thing that I'm doing with a friend of ours that is a macrame artist. Her name's Kelty. She's the owner with husband at Codeco, which is here in Bellevue, Kentucky, about 10 minutes from me. And, they're like a young, married couple like Rachel and I, and they own that small business. He does woodworking and builds like tableware or tables and, like coat hooks and stuff out of like bourbon barrel. I don't know what the names of those kind of slats are in the bourbon barrels, but they make like coat hangers out of those and smaller side tables and desks and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then she
Like
does a lot of
fancy
macrame stuff,
woodworking.
whether it's, yeah. So whether it's like decor, like above your bed headboard kind of macrame, or if it's a little decorative thing that you put on a wall, or plant hangers. So we collaborated on plant hangers. She normally sells them at some art shows that we've actually sold next to them, and that was back in like June, July. We sold right next to them at the City Flea, which is here in Cincinnati, Ohio, in downtown. And they normally sell them with terracotta pots in them, so like cheap 50-cent terracotta pots. And then they put succulents in them that they buy wholesale at a place. They pay like $2 a succulent or something like that, and or maybe less than that. And then they plant them all, soil and all that good stuff, and then put them with the macrame hangers and sell them that way. So we decided to do a little trial run. I took some of my.
Trial run.
We did. So we sold them at a show. I don't think it was last week. It was the week prior, August 3rd,
Oh yeah, that's
at
right. Okay.
the West Side Market, which is one of those monthly shows here in Cincinnati. That's kind of a get people out. It's a outdoor thing. It's got food vendors and art people and all that good stuff. And I had about 25 there, and I think we sold maybe 20 of them.
Yeah, that's what you said.
So we sold 20 out of the 25, and people were buying them for 28 with the macrame and my pottery. Oh, I didn't tell you the price. So the price of their terracotta ones with the hangers are normally $15. So pretty reasonable price point for people that are just kind of walking around shopping and stuff. And we were like, let's first off, the planters that I was using, that was my pots, I don't my cups never sell. like these little small cups that are about, I don't know, 4 to 5 inches tall.
Right.
And they're maybe like 3 inches in diameter or something like that. So they're just, just basically like a
Mm-hmm.
mug, but without a handle. So I have a bunch of those that just do not sell. I don't, and also they can't sell if they're sitting in my studio on a shelving unit. So that's part of it too. But um, I had a bunch here, and I was like, you know what? We've got a bunch of these. Let's try these. So that's kind of the batch of pots that we used first for the trial. And actually, I had a lot of them. And then I was finding like these seconds pieces that I had sitting around that were like old stock that I wasn't selling or wasn't using. I didn't really like them a ton. And I was like, let's just use some of these. They're perfectly functional. I was like, let's drill a hole in the bottom.
I love this. I love everything about this.
And I was like, let's reuse this stuff that I just have no interest in, you know, giving a, trying to force a sale because I know it's not selling. Like, why put things out that you know will not sell? So,
They
I just
weren't
kind of,
big pots, by the way. They were like,
yeah, they're small.
2 to 3 inches wide and maybe 4 inches tall.
Right. So little small succulent planters. And, kind of gave them a second life. It was a trial. So if they sold, cool. If not, I don't care. Um, so we had 25 at that first one. Pretty simple. I drilled a hole with a diamond core bit and, make sure they can drain. And then I basically gave all the pots to Kelty, and she made a bunch of macrame hangers that worked with them. Some of them were varied sizes, so she kind of had to customize a little bit on the macrame to make sure they fit well enough. Because otherwise, some of the hangers may not work as well with bigger pots or whatever. So that was kind of a trial as well to figure that out. And then, I gave her a second batch I gave her like 45 or something here in the last couple of weeks. And she had probably like 10 days or so to get a batch of them done. And she, made 30 of them. I had 5 left over, so I had 35 with me. And we ended up selling 32 of the 35.
Get out of town. Get out of town. That is insane. That's
Yeah.
insane. And you know what's crazy about it is I saw some of those and like they were like red, string and stuff. And I was like, those aren't going to sell. Like red string. And they all sold.
Yeah.
I'm
So
like, what?
it was funny. And another thing with the first sale that we did, we were trying, so obviously it's kind of trial and error. We're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. So we were like, okay, first off, let's not stress you out too much and give you too much work to do.
Right.
So I was like, go ahead, just use what rope you have. Let's do 2 simple colors. You pick what rope that you have plenty of. And we decided like, hey, let's use a cream color because it's kind of like a standard like macrame color. It's just
right,
very neutral. Anybody can, look at that or whatever. And then let's do like a gray. I figured a gray would probably go well with any of my pots and the glazes I use. So we did that. From that experiment, I would say the cream sold the best out of the 20 we had. The remaining ones, I probably had like maybe 4 gray and 1 cream left, or maybe 3 gray and 2 cream left. But
yeah,
one of the purchases was a woman that bought 3 gray ones, like at the end of the day. So she bought them kind of as a set. So if it wasn't for that, I would say the cream was like the winner overall.
Right.
So that was kind of our first chance to figure it out. And there's so much more variation when you're talking about a glazed pot versus a terracotta pot, because it's one color.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're kind of picking it based on the macrame color at that point, not the macrame or the plant, I suppose. So yeah, we kind of went down that route, and then this time we were like, let's do some other colors. I was basically like, hey, can we just do 3 colors? Let's add like a navy with cream and the gray that we did before. So let's add 3, so you got a little bit more to play with, and we'll kind of gauge the 3 of them. And then she was like, okay. And then she made them, and she was like, okay, I kind of ran out of some of those, so I just gave you some other colors to try out.
She was
And it was
like,
good
we're
she
making
did.
so much, we're going to make so much money. We're going to
Yeah.
make so much money. But I
So
just
she
did
just gave me some other colors, and they worked out great because the perception at the end of the day was the colors that were left from that show were the gray, the cream. Well, not cream. I think all the cream sold out, but gray, white, and navy. That's all I had left. So I looked like I was
Interesting.
supporting the New York Yankees or something with these colors, um, but yeah, that's all I had left. So the like mustard color that I had, the rust, I called rust kind of a burnt orange color that I had, those sold really well. Um, and I think it's just based on the kind of the age group and the demographic at those shows, like what colors they're going to gravitate to.
Yeah.
Um,
Or maybe it doesn't even matter. Like, maybe it's just like, I don't care because it's macrame, it's hanging, and there's a plant in there.
yeah. So I think next time, kind of trial and error, we're keeping up with the numbers and keeping track of what colors are selling with a. When I was keeping track of the sales, I wasn't keeping track of the pots individually because, like I said, these were just seconds pots. I mean, I kind of got a gauge of which pots were selling the best, like the light greens, like the turquoise, and some of the white and blue. But it's in Lexington, so like UK, the University of Kentucky's right there, which is white and blue. So, I mean, that can skew it a little bit that white and blue is going to sell. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I kind of got some learnings there. And I think I'm definitely going to get some of those colors next time. And then they had like an army green kind of color that was really nice. It was still pretty like muted. It wasn't like a bright color or anything. It was pretty muted, kind of fall color.
People love
So
green.
I think that was a good one. So we only have one of
People
those.
love
It,
green.
it's so cool. I should have made note of how many of each color I had, but I mean the overwhelming. Looking in the bag of the few that I have left, it's obvious that those brighter colors were good sellers. So
That's so cool.
that's some of the learnings.
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then the way that we decided on the price breakdown, so the work that I put into those pieces, you probably can't see this very well on the screen. Let's raise this up some. So the way the price breakdown was, like I told you, they were 15 for theirs originally, and we priced them at 28. So I was like, okay, it's the same plants and all that, and then just my pottery. So I was like, I'm willing to take 14 for my pottery or whatever.
Right.
So we ended up deciding for now we're going to split it 50% because I basically just dropped off pots to them. She had to do some experimenting with the macrame to get the right shape on some of them. She had to make all those kind of made to order, and then she got all of the succulents, planted all the succulents, and I just came and picked them up on Thursday or Friday before the show. So I'm like, let's not make this too much of a job for you and give you, a good chunk of this. So we split it 50%.
I think that's fair.
And I told the customers that. And I think one thing I learned is to keep up with demand, I think we should up the price.
I agree.
I think 28 is too low. Selling 32 out of 35 like hotcakes. I was considering driving home that night an hour and a half each way, or an hour and 15 each way, to get another batch of them because they sold at a show in Cincinnati earlier on Saturday as well and had some. And I was like, can I just get whatever you didn't sell and take with me to get more opportunities to sell more? Well, I decided not to. So that was probably the best decision because it would have been so exhausting.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
So I think I'm going to talk with them about raising the price. I think we should do that. And
38, do 38.
38, bump it up from 28 to 38?
Yep.
That's a lot.
Well,
I still think it's still a trial period. I think we should do 32.
I don't know. I think
and
38.
then see how they go on 32. Because
my regular planters sell for 30. People are plant crazy. They're freaking plant crazy. Yeah, my regular planters that are like medium size or like the size of this bowl sell for $30. People are insane. I would never buy a
Wow.
planter that was $30, like ever in my entire life.
And there's nothing in it, right? They have to do all the
No,
planting and everything.
no.
Okay, so maybe we're not pricing ourselves right for the amount of time that goes into planting them and taking all that
It's
work off their
yeah.
side.
It sounds like she does a lot of work for these.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we should up it. And she
Yes.
even felt bad about taking half of it because I'm out there selling it, But
Yeah, but you like to do that.
I'm like, I want it to be good for both of us.
Yeah.
I am selling it, and there's some time and work that goes into that, but you're also doing a lot of this work kind of made to order, and you're doing it the week of, and going out and getting the succulents that week and planting them that week or a couple days before kind of thing, and lots that goes into that too.
Yeah, I've considered selling mine with plants in them, and I just can't do it. I would kill them. I killed an air plant. Like, I
Yeah,
can't. I can't even fathom.
yeah. I think as long as we keep it good for both of us, and she's happy with it, we should keep it pretty close to 50%. I'd like a little more for them once I start making pots for that intention because I think they would sell for more than, I think the pot itself with a plant is worth more than, I was selling the pot with a plant by itself, which I sold a few of them without the macrame for $20. But I think it's
Yeah.
worth more than that. So, because some people were looking at them on the table because I had the extras that I only had like 10 hangers or whatever. So some of them were just sitting on the table and they were like, I want to buy some of these without. So how much are they? And they weren't really priced for that. So I just had to kind of come up with it on the fly.
Oh my god, I do that every single day. How much is this bowl? $40. And like in my head, I'm like,
And
don't hesitate, don't hesitate.
love it. And actually, I talked with Tanner. He was at the City Flea that day selling the same thing. And he didn't have a ton of hangers for them or the ones with my pots in them. So he had some sitting out on a table and some people bought them without. And he did the same thing. He priced them at $20. So we were thinking
That's
alike, I
good.
guess.
Yeah, that's good that you guys are in
And
the same mindset.
so if how would you give how much would you give them when they planted them and they got the succulents and all that? What percentage of that $20 would you give them? I was thinking about it and I was
I think that, well, if you're doing 50% at what you're selling, like with the hanger, then you need to figure out what price because so if you're selling them for 28, then your pot is worth $14, and her macrame plus her plant plus her work is worth $14. So you would get $14 out of that 20, and she would get 6.
okay. Yeah, I was thinking around 5-ish because I know the plant costs $2 in the soil and whatever. So I was like about double-ish what the effort is, but there's no time in there too. So probably about that sounds good. $6.
I mean, you can always ask them if they feel
That's
that
a good. Yeah,
fair.
we haven't talked about it, but I think that's a good rationale to say $14 is what I would normally get, which what I'm bringing to the table is the same thing. It's just
Yeah,
there's no
you're
hanger,
not out of the equation at all. So
right? That's fair. I like
that's
that.
so exciting. I'm so excited for you. Yay! Such a
I don't
good.
think, yeah. So the next show that we're doing is at Bellevue Art in the Park, which is right up the street from their shop, which I think is going
Yeah.
to be a huge hit because it's going to be like, hey, and I was talking them up like crazy during the show. So what my little spiel, I have little spiels with every kind of pot that people are looking at to give
Right.
them a little more story. So usually if they're picking it up and they're looking at it, I'm like, um, so if you'd like to, you can swap any of the pieces out. If you like that pot or that plant with a different macrame,
Yeah.
you can swap it out for a different color because, certain ones look different and, different decor and all that good stuff.
Did that happen?
And yes, that did happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is fun because it makes it more personable. It gives them a lot of more options. And then
Yeah.
I would say the macrame is actually made by a macrame artist in my area in Bellevue, Kentucky, really close to me. And she normally sells them with terracotta pots that, like 50-cent terracotta pots, and they sell like hotcakes. So we decided to collaborate and use some of my pottery with her macrame, and we split the sales. So we're kind of helping both of us out. And it's been a good kind of trial run in it.
I just got an
And
idea.
yeah, that's kind of my spiel.
I have an idea. What would happen?
What?
Because, okay, did people seem like so stoked when they were like taking the plants out and being like, okay, which one do I want with, you know, with this macrame? Like, were they like excited to swap out and like find the colors that they liked the best?
No, usually what they would do, so there's ten hanging, and they kind of get a look at what's out there, color-wise and
Okay,
plant-wise. It's a little bit higher up, so it's usually the plant is hanging about eye level
right.
because of where the tent's at and how long the macrame is and stuff. So people were less likely to like pick them up and take them out. They kind of wanted me to do that because they didn't want it to fall and break and stuff.
Yeah.
So usually they would say, I want this one, and I'd be like, hey, do you like the navy with it, or would you like to see a different color? Because some of them you can kind of see in their face that they were kind of thinking about it, or, looking at the other colors. I'm like, I pretty much have all the colors out so they can see what's good.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, if you want to swap, we can swap it, and you can kind of look and see what it looks like before you get it, and that kind of thing. So, that happened, I would say.
Could you do like a little bit of a like have some already made and then to kind of like save on, I guess, save on like work for her to like pair these pieces with these, you know, with these like little plants or whatever. Not the plants, but were all the succulents the same?
No, they were all different.
They were all different. Like, what if you did a little, like, because Rachel's at your shows, what if she just like threw the succulents right into a, like, got the succulents and they were like, hey, I want this succulent, this pot, and this macrame. No, that wouldn't work, I don't think, actually. I
You're
don't
talking
know.
about to actually plant it on site when they're buying it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's too much work. I don't want to do that.
that's too much work. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they looked within the pot, but or even
They
having
look
just
great. They
the.
were soil. Some people were like, "Are those real or are they fake?"
Oh, nice. Even if it's just like to have the like the plants in the pots and then have the macrame and be like, here, choose your pot, choose your macrame, so that they can kind of like assemble it themselves to what they want.
I don't know. Are you trying to cut down on
God,
the cost or the effort that goes into it
no, just
so
so
she
that they
doesn't have
have
to
a
plant them
choice.
all? Oh, but they have a choice. There's like
No, no,
30
no,
of
no, no.
them, and there's a bunch
I,
sitting out. They have a
no, no,
choice
no.
because
I know
I
that.
mean,
I know that. Hold the
you're trying to
phone.
give them
Hold the
more
phone.
choice, right?
No, because you were saying, hey, you can swap them out and do, you can like choose a different color macrame with a different plant. Like, what if you just had a bunch of like stray macrame pieces and a bunch of stray plants without the macrame, and they were like, oh, I want this color blue and this pot, and then you just like put it together.
I don't want to be planting stuff though.
No, no, no. We've moved past the planting part.
Okay, tried
The
and
plants.
true has got it. She's saying no soil added. The customer would do that. So they basically take a succulent that's sitting in a plastic pot, and then they plant it themselves after the fact.
You could do that, or like, yeah, you could try that, and because people love like planting those little pots for some reason, and like so the reason I'm saying this is because in Leavenworth there's this new store opening up. If you're on here and you want to follow them, it's the Plant Ally, ALLY, and they have a new store opening up, and it's kind of like this awesome little store that they've got a bunch of little like a bunch of plants and a bunch of pots. Like she's buying a bunch of pots for me, and then they have a bathtub full of dirt, and people come in and they plant their own pot in the store, and then they pay for it there, and it is so popular. Like this like whole like business model of like making it yourself and like leaving the work out, leaving the work to the customer.
Yeah.
Because they enjoy it. Like, especially plants, for some reason, people really enjoy the whole process of planting. And I'm not saying you have
Do
to have
you
the plants.
plant some of them and give them
Oh,
the
yeah,
option?
totally. Totally. Absolutely. Like, you would plant, and I mean, I don't even know if this would work, but like, you would plant like 12, 15 of them and hang them up as examples, and then you could have like plant, pot, macrame in a row and be like, here, and like maybe for $3 less, assemble your own, and they take it home and put the dirt in and everything like that. But that way they can choose which plant, which pot, and which macrame they want.
I don't know. It sounds like more work than it's worth.
I think it sounds like less work, but
it
also
depends on
I'm
how
not
much
doing it.
Kelty's working for it with her planting and how. Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, they gave me the place they get their stuff. I don't want to like undercut them on that part of it, but we can like see. I mean, I see kind of how they look when they get the pots. It's an option. How would you price that differently then? So let's say
I
we
don't know.
do the
I mean,
38
I would,
for all of
you
it
could
together.
not
How would
even,
you price it?
you could not even price it differently because some people are just really picky and they want to have their own way. But also, if they
Oh,
were
so
selling,
it's the same price because they get more of a custom thing.
right?
Okay. So it's not like, oh, I'm doing the work that you
See,
would be doing, so it's cheaper. You get at the same price because you get the option to pick exactly what you want instead
yeah,
of a
totally.
predefined thing. Yeah.
See, look, tried and true. She's a plant lady. See, she says, I'd be all about that because I'd be most concerned with which plant I'm getting. Pot would be second, and macrame would be third. So it kind of like adds to this whole like do it yourself. Like people feel like they have this option. And I'm not saying it would sell better because it sounds like they sold really well. But if you're giving people the choice to like, hey, if you want to put this pot in this macrame, you're already halfway there. Even if you already planted the pots and you had them planted within the pots and just had the macrame laying to the side and said, hey, oh, you like this plant in this plot that's already planted, and you like this blue macrame, okay, we'll put that together and we'll put it in the bag, You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Okay. And then they get their own soil and stuff if
No,
they
no.
need more soil.
If they need more soil, but like that's even if she did go ahead and plant all of them. You could do it that way too, and then just have like all of your colors hanging up and say, hey, these are all the colors that we have. Choose your options, choose which plant plus like plant inside of pot you have and
Right.
which macrame color you want.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think back to the interactions and whether people were more specific about the pottery. I would say the shape of the pot was kind of what they were
Yeah.
drawn to, more so than like there's a lot of cups that had slip on them that had,
Right.
of course, different colors, but some of them had slip, some of them had the little glass strip. They didn't notice as much of that, more so than just the color of the pot as a whole.
Yeah.
Um, versus, the whole thing looks good as one. So I think pairing the color of the pottery with the macrame, I don't know what their order would be. I would say probably the macrame color, then the
Not if you
plant,
like
and
plants.
then the pottery. I would say
Yeah.
the pottery was third, but maybe not, depending on the customer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like if there's one thing I've noticed about this year selling plant stakes is that people freaking love plants.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're about is the plant.
All right, so it sounds like we've got another experiment to do.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelty, save some time on planning those. Give me another, 15 of them, and then we'll check out, just my pottery with the plant, and then just make the hangers that you would normally make, and we'll let them do
Totally.
that.
And she can make the hangers in advance, and she can still buy the plant. She knows which plants to buy and everything like that. She could still buy the plant, and then she's still got that 50%. It's still fair. She's
And
still
it
going
saves
out and
her
buying the
time.
plant and putting the
It saves
effort
her a
in.
little time with the soil, and
It saves her time. Yeah. I don't think your percentages should change at all. Like, make it so that the percentages are still fair. But yeah, I mean, why
I
not,
love that,
right?
saving her effort. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like she's putting a lot of work into it, whereas you did put a lot of work into it, but like it's not as upfront per se.
Right.
But you will, if these start to sell, then you're gonna start
Making pots specifically for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then maybe you can consider if they sell the same if you just make one glaze, or if they, then you can really start to figure out what is selling. Like if it's the plant, if it's the pot, if it's the combination. Like if you put all white pots in there, like would they sell the same? You know? Or all black or what have you?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, totally. The sky's the limit here. I like all the testing, and the options are awesome.
Yeah.
So this is definitely going to be some work in progress. We're shooting for the next show to be September 7th, right up the street in Bellevue,
Yay,
Kentucky.
that's gonna be great.
So we're gonna, and I love talking other people up too. So it's nice to like talk them up. I wish I had more business cards. I did not have more business cards to give in every purchase like I needed to. I only had 2 of them, so I wrote their name on some of them, but
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely need as many business cards as they can. I feel like that's the funnest part.
Same with mine. Like, I need to give them, I was like, next time I see you, I'm getting like a stack of 75 or 100 business cards. Like, give them my way. I feel like you can only sell yourself so much because, like, I can say all the best stuff about me, but if someone else says really good stuff about me, then they're going to be like, oh, man, if this person thinks that highly of them, then,
Totally. I think that, sorry. I think that, like, we always say up in Art in the Park that we should just switch booths and sell for the other person next to us because we'd probably sell so much more because we like all of our stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know when the Instagram is going to end, if it's still an hour. It says 1:12 on my thingy, but I didn't take note of when we started.
I think we started probably about 5 after.
Okay. Cool.
Timer's weird on there.
Yeah.
So what about your show? How did was there some learnings that you had?
Okay. My show was good this week. It was, I think, I've been going through some health issues and just more like fatigue, like extreme fatigue. And I'm finally kind of like getting over that. And so like going into the weekend, I was a little bit more amped. And I also on Friday morning took a caffeine pill and I was late. And then a friend helped me like set up because I was so late. And because I pulled an all-nighter this last week. Well,
right.
kind of 2 actually. And
what is an all-nighter for you?
Till 6 a.m.
Okay.
Is that an all-nighter for you?
I've never done an all-nighter, so I don't know.
Oh.
2 in the morning, I don't know.
No. It's like once you pass 4 a.m., that's when you're like screwed on the whole sleeping front.
Yeah, I've never had that much of an urgency to get anything done. Because I have to do that.
Lucky you.
For now, I guess, until I have to.
So anyway, I was like all hyped up on caffeine and like setting up, and so I was like having a good time, and like my energy is up, and I cannot tell you how much your energy affects the shows that you do. It is incredible, I think, because like doing a show every weekend, um, my energy has been pretty low, and I just don't engage with the customers as well. I'm not like happy. I probably look like I'm a total bitch, and like there's like a lot of different things. But anyway, Friday wasn't that great. It was like whatever, and I was like, it's fine, whatever. Like it'll be fine. And I was like, hopefully Saturday is pretty good. And then Saturday ended up being great, and like not like
Did you
super.
turn it on and did you like rebound from Friday? Did you know you had to kind of put your game face on kind of thing for the next day and wipe off
No,
Friday?
days don't actually affect me until Sunday. So up in Leavenworth, you kind of have to have that mentality of like, okay, this is the weekend. It's like the whole weekend. It's not just a day. So I Friday I did just a little bit below my average, which is like 300, 350 is my average on a Friday, and I think I did like 260. So I wasn't like too far off, but hold on. So I wasn't like too far away from what my average was, so I wasn't really disappointed at all. And then Saturday just ended up being there was like it was kind of really slow at the beginning of the day, and then all of a sudden it just like kind of got crazy around like 3 o'clock, which was like great. And um, I sold a bunch of garden sticks. It's not like I sold anything different. I think like I sold one of my geometric mugs, which was really awesome. And on
Yeah,
Saturday, which helped. I had a lot of sales that like were above $50 on Saturday, so that was
that's
kind of
awesome.
great. And then on Sunday, we got to the park on Sunday, and I had planned on doing like a sale on Instagram of like 5 of the mugs that I hadn't sold yet. And then I
So you did that
and
while you were at
while
the show?
yeah, okay, because here's the deal. Sunday mornings in Leavenworth are like so slow. Like we
Church
all just
traffic
like
slow?
yeah, exactly. Church traffic slow. So it's like everybody's at church and we all know it, and everybody's trying to find breakfast and they don't want to be in the park. And so that was fine. So we know that. And so at 9:30 I did my sale on Instagram, and then all of a sudden like this swarm of people. I literally, Ryan, I had a line. I had a line of 6 people inside my booth
That's
waiting to get
amazing.
stuff. And I was
To get
like,
to check out or
I
to see what other people are looking at and get to
no,
the
to check out,
product.
to like they had stuff in their hands to like buy.
That's
And
awesome.
meanwhile, I'm doing the sale and I sold 4 mugs. So I'm like trying to check people out, and then I'm trying to like manage Instagram, which I hate doing it anyway. And I told I told a bunch of the people that were in line, I was like, I've never really had a line before, and I was like, I think the universe is like, oh, we know you're doing a sale online, like be present, bitch. And and so that's that was my that was my like synopsis of what was happening on Sunday morning.
Right.
But it was just so crazy, and there was just a really good reception. I had a super great kiln load that came out, and
Yeah, all
um,
your stuff coming out recently is coming out more one-off pieces. They're not the tried and true like red glaze and blue glaze. I'm sure you still have those, but you're doing some more variation and one-off colors that aren't
I
all the
don't have
same, right?
those. I've like just said screw it.
Really?
I've said screw it to the single color glazes, because
See, you need to
here's
share
why.
that more because I don't know that. I just assume you're still doing business as usual over there.
No, I kind of have like, and that's why also why this year I feel like every single year I've tried something new. So I've never, lots of artists are like, well, last year was better for this. And I'm like, well, last year was better than this, but I'm doing something completely new, right? Like, I dropped word mugs. I've dropped, at the beginning of the year, I tried to make, like aqua black and white mugs. And I was just like, this is dumb. And then what changed it is we got a bunch of color samples on all those pieces that we extruded. And I was like, I never even knew that these colors were possible. Like some of them. And so then Andrew, my best friend, was like, dude, you need to start making some of these. Like if you're
Using some
not
of
gonna
those
go,
colors, yeah.
yeah, he's like, if you're not gonna make word mugs, which were my money maker last year, if you're not gonna make word mugs, you need to make freaking bomb ass mugs, just regular mugs that are freaking cool. And then
Somebody said
they're
RIP
bigger.
word mugs.
Yeah, that's Jen. She's my out of state best friend. um, but also my OG best friend. Sorry, Andrew. Uh, um, he was like, you need to make some cool mugs, and now I've also been pugging all my clay, so now I'm making mugs that are 16 ounces instead of 14 ounces, and so that's changed, and so the size difference has changed a little bit because they're much bigger, and um, and mostly actually I haven't gotten a ton of response on the Leavenworth front as much as I have on the online front for the mugs because the glazes are so much better. And
Yeah.
the people in Leavenworth, they're seeing them for the first time, which there is a good response, but it's not like, oh, this is so much better than what you were doing.
Yeah.
It's not people that are following me. And also I have been starting to sell more of the jewelry for the Simply Saito line. Like,
That's great.
I think I sold like yeah, I sold like 6 pairs of earrings this week and like one necklace. And those are
Nice.
all like $30. So it's like, it's just those little things that are happening. And I don't know, it's just been really good. There's been a lot of like positivity, I guess, around it. And it's just
Yeah.
been. So, I never even said how much I made this weekend. I made $1,500, and then after the check, I will make $1,225. That's what I'll go home with. So, um, I get charged 20% for mine. So I essentially paid the same amount that
And
Ryan
that's
paid for his show.
because they handle the point of sale, and basically that's
Right.
kind of like your fee to be there, sort of.
Exactly. They handle the point of sale and do all the taxes, and then I get a check, and then get a 1099 at the end of the year. So.
Right. Yeah, I have to handle all that myself.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the benefit of art in the park. But, I just talked to somebody today who does the same type of show, and he just pays $900 for the season to be in all the
Hmm,
shows, like up front.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big commitment to do those kind of shows though, because it's every weekend. That's your life every weekend.
It is. Yep. And I'm sure for his shows, they're not as flexible. Our director is extremely flexible. If, something happens and you're like, Mary, I can't make it, she's like, that's fine. you know, she's like, whatever. So,
Right. Yeah, that's good.
but yeah, I'm kind of stoked about it. And Ryan had like texted me and he's like, we need to talk about the shows because I'm so amped. And it's like, like what do you do after a show that you've made like that much money on? Like, how do you keep it going, I guess?
Yeah.
What have you been selling those stripey mugs yet?
Nope. It's really cool because, you know, when you see people in person, there are some people that follow you on Instagram or whatever, and they say that to you, and you know they want to chat about clay. I had some people that were saying, you know, I just got a wheel and starting to get into this thing. I'm starting to use Mudworks glazes, and it's really tough to figure out where to go with it, and you know they're kind of talking to me about that, or you know they follow me and they want to know about the glass mugs and how that works
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So it's really fun to talk about that kind of stuff. And I talked with one of the jurors that follows me, or is you know, he's a woodworker that I follow as well, out of Georgetown, Kentucky. And he was like, "Yeah, I just saw you making those stripe stuff, and it's just amazing to see that process of just the satisfaction of
Yeah.
seeing those." And he was like, "I was hoping you were gonna have some," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still working through some of the colors and stuff. I don't know if I'm just being too reluctant with just doing it, but I want to make sure that the work I'm putting in, like right now, you've seen I've been carving these mugs, and it takes a lot of time to carve these, so I don't want to waste that time by putting a glaze on if it's going to look like crap. So
Oh,
that's
for
kind of the
sure.
stage I'm at, and I want to make it worth it to where when I put something out, it's going to be good quality. I mean, I'm fine with testing some things, but when I'm putting this much work into individual pieces, and this is a new line of work for me, I want it to look really good. And I want the craftsmanship to be there, and I want the value to be there, so that when people are going to pay for it, it makes sense why it's, you know, way more than a typical mug that I make.
Yeah, why it's the
So
price. No, I think that's very self-controlling of you, which I admire.
yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do that, but I'm not you, as we all know.
so we'll
I'm
see. I'm going to
I'm
try
like
to have some
super
out
bad
for
at
that
that.
September show, because you know I want to have a batch of 20 or of 20 or more or
Right.
something like that of the pieces, and I want to have some mugs hopefully and some cups. I have a lot of cups built up so far. I've got maybe 25 cups or something like that, and I've got some in a
Yeah.
bisque kiln that are going to be fired here this week probably. But and getting these mugs done by September 7th, like maybe a little bit of a task because I want to dry them slower. But you know, we'll see. I don't know if I'll have another bisque load to fill before then, so I might. You know, we'll see. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of ways this can go good and ways it can go bad if I don't want to waste my time on some of these pieces, but.
Totally. I feel ya. I am one of those people that wastes a lot of time with tests and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this will work, and then it never does. I'm like, okay, well that failed. Okay, on to the next one.
Do you kind of retrospect at the end of the Leavenworth season to say like what, you know, look at your numbers of like what kind of sold, and because that's a great sampling for you because it's every weekend, it's 3 days, it's all throughout the summer, so you get a great number of, you know, data points to look at to see like what's worth keeping and not and all that kind of thing. Or is that too
I love,
analytical for you?
I love how you're assuming I even keep track of what sells.
I keep track of everything.
I'm
You keep
like,
track
don't
of
you know me?
nothing.
No, that's not true. I do keep track of one thing, and that is numbers. I have a little black or brown leather book that has all of the numbers of all the sales that I've done. So,
All the numbers
um,
of total, like the end of the show sales, or like as
all the
people pick things up, you write the number of like how much that cost.
as people buy stuff, I rate the number of their tickets, like how much their ticket costs. And
Okay.
everything that I have has a very specific price point. So, like, if I have a number in the book that says 17, I know that that was a wine glass. If I have a number in the book that says 18, I know it was either a sponge holder or 3 pinch pots. Um, if it's 23, then I know it was a mug. If, like, there's certain numbers, and I have an extremely good memory for that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I just what I do during the show is when I get my tickets back, because we write all of our totals on a ticket, and then we send them to the cashier, and then the cashier totals it up. So when I get my tickets back, I put down all the like totals of the tickets, and then I add it up, and that's my total for the day. So I'm like 20% there.
Yeah.
So
But it would drive you crazy to keep track of everything. So if it's not your game,
God.
you can
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do
go
it.
about what you know and all that.
I don't know. I just feel like
I do
I
it
sell
mostly
so
for
many different
glaze colors
things.
and seeing what types of forms sell.
Yeah.
Like that's
See, if I was selling, if I was selling on Square, it'd be a hell of a lot easier, right? Because I'd just have it in there, like,
Exactly. That's what I do.
But I'm not. I'm not selling on Square, and I considered it.
You would have to manually put stuff in.
Right, and I considered even tracking it on Square, to see, but it's still it'd be so hard, and I just don't really want to even. Can we talk about how stoked I am about our logo and also our potential new business card stickers?
Yes, those are awesome. I got a few comments back or a few DMs. It was like, that is so cool.
Right?
Either with our thing or with the one that you sent that is mine. I think I look creepy a little bit, but I'm fine with it.
You definitely 100% don't. And I also really like how yours looks all business-like and mine looks like it's like, hey, I'm yellow.
Hey there.
No, I have not considered doing limited edition holiday-based or themed mugs, and I'll tell you why. I don't know when holidays are. I never have, and I probably never will. And I mean, the fact that I just ordered a shit ton of pumpkins because fall's coming up is a blessed miracle. And it's only because I have people behind me saying, hello, get those pumpkins. I would not get done with them until a week before Christmas. Guaranteed. So, I just don't plan ahead that well. That's not in my wheelhouse.
This is Becca.
Yeah, welcome to my life. I just am so bad at that whole thing. Easter, I was like, I got eggs, and my friend was like, you only got 12. I'm like, so?
I got a
He's
few.
like, you're gonna need more than 12. I'm like, well, fine.
I'm gonna fill a carton at least.
Yeah. So I'm working on it. I'm sure that the more I have the Paint Your Own Pot studio, the better I will be at planning.
Yeah. Someone asked how the podcast is going. It is going because we have recorded 5-ish episodes. If you include this one, I want to say 6.
Yeah. And has Becca edited them all? No, we've only edited 2.
But I'm slacking really bad too because I still have yet to pay for and get the hosting figured out. But we're figuring that out.
Yeah.
I was making a bunch of money this weekend, so it kind of got put on the back burner.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, for figuring out your priorities.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding. Same thing for me.
Yeah, so. Is it kind of becoming a ritual a little bit where you set aside some time Friday night to do it, or Saturday when you're in Leavenworth to?
Yeah, it has, and then the last couple weekends my ritual's been squashed. So,
Right.
And I forgot.
We're ahead of the game.
Yeah, I forgot my earphones this time too, so that also didn't help. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, every Friday night I usually, and the next Friday I'll be able to do 2, if I prioritize it, and which I will, and go get dinner and edit too. Now that I've got the ropes figured out, it's gonna go so fast for editing. It's not even gonna be an issue.
And I'm so glad you're doing that.
Yeah, see, we definitely have our strengths, right? I design and I edit, and Ryan does everything that involves planning.
Planning what we're going to talk about, which is usually, about 5 hours prior. We're just like, hey, what's an idea you want to talk about?
Yeah,
And
and
a
then
lot
he
of
does
times it just
notes.
comes up in the last couple weeks or whatever, or
Yeah,
the last couple days maybe, or earlier that day. So
yeah, and a lot of people have been doing podcasts. I feel like there's a lot of podcasts coming out, like the Boldly podcast, which I did listen to finally. I love
yes,
it. The giggles, all the giggles in that podcast are just my favorite.
yeah,
Um, the girls that do it, the ladies that do it, are just so, you can just tell they just love life. And
yeah,
and then Ryan's podcast, which I really enjoy too. I've listened to every single one of those. I'm going to be on it on Tuesday.
which is called.
That one's called Clay is a four-letter word, and I really enjoy that one too. Because kind of it's more like bullshitting around and just talking, and that's my style of podcast. I like natural flow, and that's actually the same way Boldly is too. They're a little bit more structured. They're more like you, and Ryan's definitely more like me. So I think ours will kind of be a mix of those.
Yeah,
But also
and
we're talking to each
ours.
other.
Exactly. Ours so far is just the two of us. So it's different than the others because it's not interview style.
Right.
It's just us talking about a topic that we think we have a certain perspective on and want to share some things that maybe newcomers or experienced people that, have a perspective on it challenge us. I don't care.
Yeah,
We
totally.
don't know we don't know
Challenges.
everything, but we're just interested in chatting it up and getting the
Yeah.
conversation going.
And you do part-time, I do full-time, so it's two different perspectives. We're both in it the same amount of years. Um, and that's kind of cool. We're both the same age, me and Ryan. So
Yep.
I think, wait, am I 1 year older than you?
I'm 28.
Yeah, I'm 29. So I'm 1 year older than him. But, kind of, he's at a different stage of his life than I am, but we're both the same age. He's got like a wife and cats and a job, and I have like nothing, none of that. Um, I have cats.
You have cats.
I have
You have one more
cats.
cat than I do.
I do, which means my ratio is higher, which is a problem. Um, but yeah, no,
Three on one.
3 on 1. I feel like we're a pretty good pair for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So lots of format options to play with, and maybe there will be some interviews in there with
Yeah,
some people that have certain expertise that we do not, and we would like to learn about or share with others as well, because it's kind of unknown, or
yeah,
there's so much to learn.
so much to learn. I'm really enjoying it. Let's see.
So there's a question about the mugs. These are still kind of in flight of what I'm going to glaze them exactly. I still need to mix up a batch of clear glaze that I got from Rebecca Graves, because I think I have all those materials. So I'm going to mix up a batch of that to try it with just clear, as well as some of the other colors that I already use. And I found some that I like, and I can show you some samples, but they will definitely have some kind of glaze on the outside. I'm worried that they're too sharp if I don't glaze them. So that's
Can
kind
you
of my
just do a quick
concern.
sand?
Actually, I was talking with one of the the jurors at the show this weekend that was like, you should try sandblasting them and it'll soften the sides and whatnot. I was like, I don't have that kind of equipment, but that's a cool idea. And I know Sunshine Cobb, sandblasts her pots and stuff.
I mean, or just take a freaking sanding sponge and sand it. Really quick,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could try it. It might feel a little chalky, but we'll see. Here's some of the tests that I have so far. This one's kind of a honey-ish color.
That one's my favorite.
Is it? Okay. That's like a thin dip, and then this one on the other side is like a thicker dip.
Either is fine.
So that's a little more of a kind of light colored. I think my favorite's the white. Here's the white.
Oh, I do like that one. That one's good. I like the thinner dip of the white.
This really down here. It almost looks clear actually, but it adds a little bit of a matte surface to it. So I like the matte white. The juicy turquoise is good too.
Yeah, that one's good.
So you can still see the black, and then I like the Joe's green too. It covers it up some, but
yeah, I don't like.
But I still like it.
Boo.
If it's thin enough, but boo.
Boo.
So it's gonna be a lighter color gamut with these. I think. Which will make them pop though, because the black will pop on the light color.
Yeah, I just think it's really important to not lose the integrity of the carving, which is hard to.
Yeah, because some of them just cover it up.
Yeah.
Like here's a floating blue. This one kind of breaks on it. You can see some of the texture, but you can't see the carving color. Like the black, you kind of lose that. And then, like, here's, that new kind of red copper that I got.
That's kind of cool.
It's nice, but you can't really see the carving. I mean, you can see the carving in the divots, but you can't see the black. The black does nothing on this.
I wonder if you could, like, glaze it and then wipe it off so that it's just in the divots.
I could do that.
That'd be interesting to see a test of that, like with the juicy turquoise or something like that.
Yeah. And then I got there's something that Jason Burnett talked about at his workshop that he does on some of his pots that's, I want to say it's just soda ash and boiling water. And he does a certain mixture and, mixes it and dissolves in the water. And then he just does a light wash on it.
Oh.
And it gives it like enough of a flux that it gives it like a nice coating, like it's a glaze, but it's on the outside of pots.
You can do that with Gersley, just Gersley and water.
So I might try that.
Try it.
Gersley too.
Yeah, try it with Gersley. Just try it. That's what Val puts on the outside of her word mugs, and I've done it. I did a bunch of ornaments a long time ago, like little snowman ornaments, and I just dipped them in Gersley, and they turned out great.
How, like 50% kind of thing?
Yeah, like thinner as more than thicker. So I think I just threw in a bunch of Gersley and then thinned it out real well.
Yeah. So these are definitely testing, and we're figuring out the options. I don't know. It's gonna ultimately come down to what is worth the time and how much goes into it.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of having to boil water and mix a batch when I'm gonna use it.
Right.
Versus having something that's liquid and I just need to stir up. So that's probably gonna play a factor if I try that.
Yeah.
And I don't currently use clear glaze, so that's currently a roadblock for me because I've got to mix it up.
Yeah. It's always good to have a good clear glaze on hand, though, honestly.
But I feel like a lot of my forms are basic that I need something.
I'm just saying, just in case. It's like having 2 bottles of water in your car that you never drink, but just in case you get in a crash. Like it's there.
Okay.
It's just good to have in your back seat, you know.
Yeah. And also, I got 2 new assistants
Ooh.
that will be splitting time here starting. One of them starting tomorrow. So, first day of school over here tomorrow. And that should be
Is
fun.
exciting. Your first day of school over there is Tuesday?
I'm talking about for the assistant.
Oh. I was like, what?
Yeah. So, we started on like Wednesdays
I
sometimes
mean,
back
I
in
just feel
grade
like
school.
Tuesday's really weird. I feel like if it was a Wednesday, I'd be like, whatever. But
Or Friday. Like, sometimes you start on a Friday. It's like, what's the point of even starting?
yeah, right? It's like, okay, we have a day and then we're gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that should be fun. We're trying to figure out divvying up tasks and, you know, I haven't had an assistant over here since probably June, so I've actually held off my clay for that long because I've been working on some glazing a lot more in the last couple months, I would say. So,
Are you saying that because you
um,
didn't have an assistant, you haven't been weighing out your clay?
yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I've done the exact same thing. Um,
Well, I've
I think
just
that's
shifted
funny.
priorities. Like, I started having more shows, so I was like, hey, I need to glaze a lot more pots and have more stock. So I kind of use that as an excuse, I guess, but.
Yeah.
I was also stocking up on some inventory of clay that I still had wedged. But yeah.
I hate wedging so much that I would rather pug a fresh new bag of clay and pug it out and then measure it than I would rather wedge it. Like, then I don't even wedge my clay, then I would weigh it. Like, and I feel like it's a total waste of my employees' time to weigh out my clay, so I just do it, and I don't know why.
You know, I stopped having my old assistant Amy wedge the clay. So if it's like less than 3 pounds, I didn't have her wedging it out.
Yeah,
She was just weighing it out and putting
just
it
slam
in a
wedge it or
box or a
something.
bucket.
Yeah.
Well, no, if it was like a pound or whatever, she would just put it into a ball and, you know, put it into the bin or whatever.
Oh yeah, I teach him
And
because,
I would just wheel wedge it. So.
and she's probably weighed out so many pounds of clay that she gets pretty close anyway. Like I teach my assistants or my employees to just, if they have multiple pieces, then they just slam it against the table so it kind of gets itself incorporated, and then put it into a ball. And that's our version of wedging.
Yeah. So yeah, that should be fun. And we're gonna split up the tasks. I think, and actually, I think I found with these new cups, I think I'm gonna have them do some of the underglazing on here for me, or the slip
I think that's
application,
very smart.
because it does take a lot of time. A lot of time.
I wonder if you could like, oh no, oh no. I wonder if you could like spray those on, like spray the underglazes on, so it's like an even application, and it was quick, you know?
Well, that would work for the cups, but not like the mugs.
Oh, because you go around the handle. The handle's not black.
No, the handle's not black.
So when are you gonna say screw it and make the handle black?
I would have to carve the handle if the handle was black.
No, you wouldn't. That is false. That's like 100% false.
I mean, I wouldn't have to, but
I mean, you're not carving the not glazed handle.
I know.
Try one with a black
But if
handle.
it's black, it's going to be too much black.
It might not be.
We'll see.
Try
I
one with
I
a
was
black
finding it a
handle,
little
just one.
difficult to avoid, but yeah, I suppose once it's glazed, it's going to be softened enough that the black's not going to be so stark.
Mhm.
I just didn't want the handle to stand out so much, but it also is white, so it kind of stands out. But
Like, are you kidding me? It's white.
I don't know. It just seems too. It seems like it's too dull because it's all black and everything else is carved, and I don't think carving the handle would add anything extra to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I can carve the top of the handle like
No,
the.
don't even carve it. Don't even carve the handle. Just make it black. You're overthinking this.
It would look cleaner.
Just do one. I want you to do one with a black handle.
Okay.
do you
can do that.
Do you guys hear the pain in his voice when he said okay?
Well, the thing is, when I'm looking at it now, I can see the spots where I couldn't get the paintbrush in there the best. So there's spots underneath here that are, a little bit messy.
Also,
Which I was
could you
like, do I go back
underglaze?
and...
Could you underglaze before you attach the handle?
I could, but it would be harder to put the handle onto underglaze parts. I mean, I guess if I just use slip, it's not a big deal. I can put it onto the slip.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to put the slip on when it's like a dry leather hard because it dries quicker.
Okay.
Instead of like a leather hard that's perfect for putting a handle on.
Right.
So usually I'll get the body of the pot to leather hard, perfect for a handle, and then put that on, and then they can sit in damp boxes for whenever until the underglaze gets put on.
Yeah.
But I mean that's possible. I like the idea of the black handle. I'm coming around to it because it would look cleaner, honestly, because the whole thing would be black.
And it would be faster.
But I don't know. We'll see what a final piece looks like with a white handle versus a. I mean, you could be right. Once I glaze this thing white and the handle's really white and the body of it, the handle could distract from the design.
I'm always right. I'm not always right, but
Quote from Becca, I'm always right.
I'm always right. No, I don't know. I mean, it could surprise you, right? It also might be something that might be fun to do if you ended up not doing black and you wanted to explore it. You could do different colored handles, too. Like, what if you did different colored clay handles, But
we'll see. I don't know. I think once I start adding other colors into it, then it could go haywire because there's so many options. There's already a lot of options with the glaze color. So once I start adding colors to the underglaze that I use or slip that I use, then that even adds the options even more. And I got to test everything because you know how I am, so.
I do.
I want it to look good. I'm not just going to one-off pieces and see how it turns out, but I don't know. We'll see. $11:30 here. All right. I think I'm going to finish this one, and then I'll probably call it because I want to go up and pay for our hosting.
Yes, do that. Pay for our hosting, and then
before the night is over.
Yeah, pay for our hosting. I'll make an Instagram,
Yes.
and then I'm gonna maybe I don't know if Ryan can add that to his thing. Because I talk about the podcast in the podcast that I'm in tomorrow, so I was like in the podcast. I was like maybe we'll have it up by then. I don't know. But
we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna make a page on my website.
Okay. I can do the same. I was gonna do probably an about page because right now my about has a blog under it, but I'll probably do about podcast. I think it's too many items in the menu to put it on the top menu, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Okay, yeah, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'll probably end up embedding like a player that has, the list of them that gets automatically populated or whatever once we start getting episodes. And I can maybe help you with that too.
Yeah, and then you'll have to do that on mine.
Yep.
And then I'll give you my login and you can just do that.
You can do that.
That's your thing.
That's my expertise.
Yep.
So, and hopefully we can splice this one together with the other if it's worth it.
Yeah, it won't flow at all, but we should. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do I'll do like an intermediate,
Outro.
an intermission like song in the middle, or maybe the Jeopardy song. Like
because you just get cut off mid-sentence and then...
Yeah, and then we just go to a whole new conversation. It's like it never even happened.
So it's like, and if you want to just hear a bunch of bullshit at the end, you can just keep listening past this.
Yeah, right? Yes. I can't
if
wait
you can
for...
Hear, if you want to hear all the visual stuff that we were looking at, you know.
Yeah, I can't wait for... I actually am really excited to edit the podcast on shows that I haven't gotten to yet, because I'm so stoked to put the recording at the end that's like, welcome to Five Lines Pottery. Remember, keep your hands and feet inside the booth at all times. And remember, it's nice to hold, but if you break it, it's sold.
That's great.
And the longer you stay, the more you'll pay.
Love it. You know, one thing I'm dreading from the show, I've got so many giveaway entries that I have to, I think Rachel's going to help me with it, but put it into my mailing list.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm dreading that. But I was trying to think of a way to make that digital to where the entries get accepted digitally, but I don't know a good way to do that because I don't have a second device that's connected to the internet.
I know it'd be, well, do you have an iPad? You could just have put it in a spreadsheet, you know?
I do, but then there's like issues where they can delete row, like tap in a row and it's on already got a name on it or something, or
I know, I really, 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 like, you know what MailChimp should do? MailChimp, if you're listening to this, you need to do
they
this.
should have
Or
an
maybe,
offline submission where you can submit a form and you
no,
know.
well, that, or even like if they had a freaking QR code that people could scan, and then on their own phones they could just enter in their name, because when they sign up for the mailing, the mailing address, it's going to show you what date they signed up for. So
Yeah, I mean you can do a QR code of anything, and you could create a landing page on MailChimp that's a giveaway page, and it just has a form that takes all your giveaway info.
So, Ryan, create a QR code, and so people scan it, and then they enter the giveaway on Google Forms, and then Google Forms, it submits it to a spreadsheet, and then you can just auto import all that stuff.
Well, why do that? Why don't just create the form on MailChimp, and the landing page has that form in it, and then it
Okay,
automatically goes to your mailing list.
fine. Do that.
I don't want to import anything. Yeah. And then I want it to automatically fire off a automated thing once I pick a winner, and it sends out the email to everyone with all the good info.
So do that. Like,
And
that
that
has
will
to
be it.
be, that's part of the giveaway, right? That they have to sign up for it on their phones.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a curve there where they have to know what a QR code is and how to scan it.
Well,
And then that conversation,
most
depending on...
phones have a QR scanner in just the
Yeah,
regular
but
camera?
you gotta find it, and they gotta... Some people are older and don't understand that, or, you know.
Is there a text code, maybe? Text this to here, and
I
we'll
don't
send you
know.
a
I
link?
don't think that's a easy thing, but we'll find out. All right, so we're done
That
with the
handle's
last mug
big.
of the night. Is it?
Yeah.
Some people like a bigger handle.
Oh, no,
It is a
I'm
little
not
bit
saying that's a
airier,
bad
but
big. It's just big.
okay. All right, so this is the last mug of the night. Thanks for listening. those that came back and listened to all of our visual talk.
Yeah, that was a little not on topic in the least.
But that's all right. That's part of what happens in the studio.
Yeah.
And those that watched on the video, thanks so much for watching.
Yeah.
We will catch you next time. And I'm sure Becca's going to keep recording after this, but...
I'm not, actually. I'm peacing out.
All right. See
Okay.
ya. Have a good night.
Bye.
Save it.
I'm saving it. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to follow me or Ryan, you can follow us on our Instagrams. My Instagram is 5 Lines Pottery Studio. It's the number 5. And his Instagram is at RD Ceramics. That's R as in Ryan, D as in Durban, Ceramics. And we would love for you to follow us, but we would also love it if you gave us a review on whichever platform that you're listening on, and if you tell your friends. We really enjoy doing this, and we hope that we can do it some more and have some great conversations. Thanks!